Welcome back to the Urban Monk, Dr. Pedram Shojai, here in studio with Kellyann Petrucci. She is so fun to be with in person, and I've had her on the show once, the Health Bridge, where it was me, Dr. Petrucci, and Dr. Tammy talking about bone broth, and she happened to be in Los Angeles. I said, sister, you're coming down here, you're visiting me, so welcome to our studio.
So happy to be here. Beautiful studio, good company, excited to be here.
Thank you. And you got a healthy dose of Southern California traffic.
Oh my goodness, like double what I thought it would be, like traffic on steroids. You know, you gotta love it though, because people still come here in droves. There's something to be said about Southern Cali.
I can tell you exactly what it is. Sunday, my parents and I, we were heading to the beach. I called up my folks. I said, meet us for brunch. I have a 15-minute drive to the beach, and then we were in the water in October on a 90-degree day.
Right, you're not going to get that in New York.
Come on.
New York's not going to give you that.
Right.
You got to come to Southern Cali and deal with the traffic.
And you sit in the traffic.
So you sign up for that.
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
bill of goods, you know?
Exactly. Actually, I didn't sign up for that because I left that because I'm an hour away from that. So I have like a 4-minute commute. So I've kind of hacked my life to not have that, right?
Yes,
and so
you can do it. That's exactly what you have to do.
Yeah, we have this thing called the internet.
Yeah, and
all
it
these
works.
cameras work.
It actually works.
Yeah, totally. As Lorenzo's like, guys, feed is dead.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So you are the queen of anti-aging. I really, really appreciate the way you come about this. You look like you're 22 years old, and like ever since I've known you, like you're radiant and you're doing something right.
It's deliberate. It is. It's absolutely deliberate, and that's what I want everyone to know. I mean, there's different turnstiles in life, and throughout those turnstiles, there's stuff you got to know. And really, it's really simple. And sometimes when things are really simple, we look past them, right? Anything that's an oversimplification. And here's what I'm finding: the more and more I progress on in my years, and I am very mature now. And the more I progress on, the more I realize sometimes you get the most beauty out of what's the most simple.
So what's the most simple? What are we talking about? Are we talking about like just shifting how we eat subtly?
Okay, so first you have to understand there's a certain brain process that you have to pick up, and that is the only way to really get this done. And what I say is the way to become seriously slimmer and younger. We've actually tested this out. We've tested it in 3 cities, proving that you can look slimmer and younger in actually a 3-week period of time. And there's an actual reason for that. I chose 21 days, and again, that was deliberate because your cells, your intestinal cells, they turn over every 21 days. And what that means is that every 21 days you land yourself on an unbelievable opportunity. But here are the 3 things that you need to do and understand to look slimmer and younger. First and foremost, you have to have a healthy gut. That's absolutely the bottom layer of everything. Second, you have to keep that inflammation down. You've got to get that out of the body. And third, you have to train your body to become a natural fat burner. And what I mean by that is as we age, we lose that muscle mass, we put more fat on, all of these things happen to our skin cells. We want to learn how to burn that stored fat. You know what I mean? Here, here. I'm not messing around. I mean, the belly fat is actually dangerous fat. So training your body to becoming that natural fat burner, and anyone can do this. I mean, I'm sitting here right now, my body, just sitting here speaking with you, my body is running very efficiently. And I've trained it to do that, and anyone can. And that is where the power comes in. That's how you literally not only stop aging, you can actually reverse it. You can reverse it. And so many doctors out there, they work on stopping the aging process. Let's do everything we can. Well, what about this? What if you can actually reverse it to look a decade younger? Because in my practices over the years, people always looked, after they became a member of my community, they actually looked 10 years younger. That was the norm. That was typical. So what that tells me is there's things that all of us can do to look younger because our results were typical. And the results of the bone broth diet and this 21-day protocol that I did, that I put all throughout the country, it's working. It's a typical result.
So in 21 days, people look a decade younger? Or is that a good jump start?
That's a good jump start. So that's a really good point to make, because that would not be fair, because really it depends where you're coming from. But the important take home here is that we have to understand that our body is constantly regenerating all of the time. So no matter where you are, whatever vision you have for yourself, I believe through my 20 plus years of experience as a doctor, I believe you can get that vision. You can make that vision happen.
So we're not talking Benjamin Button here. I'm not going to look 30 years younger, because then it'd be 10.
I'm not letting you do that.
Yeah, totally.
No, I can't
My
sit
wife
there
might
with a
leave me
10-year-old.
then.
Yes.
Yeah. But so 10 years younger for wherever you are in life, right, is you start to restore your cells, you start to regenerate, you start to reboot, so that 21 days of those gut cells have now replenished, and now you have new cells showing up that are healthier and more robust.
So doesn't it make sense to you that if for that short period of time you give your body the right raw materials, through that period of that 21 days, things are going to really start happening. And you also, we have to remember, it's something I learned in Swiss. I studied a lot in Europe, and I studied Swiss medicine. I'm one of the few doctors in the country who studied under the Paracelsus Clinic with Dr. Thomas Rau, and it was a really unbelievable opportunity. And one of the things that he taught us was that we have to take into consideration, when we're talking about being younger, something called your internal milieu. So your internal milieu is the fluid surrounding all the cells. You think about it like your fish tank, right? So we have to keep this clean and healthy and flowing like a river and not clogged like a swamp. This is essential, this is important. And we can do that very easily by incorporating some of these little tricks that we use.
So let's talk about what not to do. And this is one of my least favorite places in the universe. We go to our local mall and we go through to like this thing, and usually we like cut through the Nordstroms, right? And I've started to boycott it, right? Because I can't even cut through that floor because of the odors, the scents, the crap at these cosmetic counters.
It's a crying shame, and there will be a point in time where we're going to catch up to this. We're going to catch up to this, and we're going to know these are toxins, and here's what happens. When we have this toxic burden in everything we do and every choice, every decision we make, now we can't live in a bubble. It's a matter of being cognizant, just really being aware of how much of this is coming at us. So a lot of the perfumes and the lotions and the soaps, we know we're starting to learn more and more about these antibacterial soaps. The more of this we do, we congest our bodies. This creates blockages, okay? We block our lymph system. We block our cellular matrix. That milieu I talked about, it gets clogged. It starts flowing like a swamp instead of a river. And what does that lead to? We know what the end game of that. That's when disease starts happening. So things as simple as perfume, there are so many toxins in there. That's why so many people have allergies to these things. It's your body's way of saying, get this away, get this off of me. There's all kind of ways to get around using these type of products, and there's now more than ever more natural products. And a lot of times what we're trying to do, beautify ourselves by using a lot of these products, we're doing exactly the opposite, because the more toxins our viscera takes in, our organs take in, they actually develop a padding. It's very interesting how your body works. It has all of these pathways and these mechanisms that try to make sense out of what you're doing in your life. So the more toxins that you accumulate, the more toxic burden that you get, you actually develop padding, fat padding around your viscera to protect you, because that's how your body works. That's the body's innate. So the more toxins you bring into the body, the more your body actually pads itself.
Let me get you to move your that off your mic real quick. Yeah, we're live, so this is how live rolls. Yeah. So this is something that most people in our culture are oblivious to, because what I do is when I turn on the TV and go to some popular show, then there's the Maybelline, there's the Revlon, there's the beautiful model person who's saying, just take this product and you're going to look like me, right? And so people are in there year after year after year taking these products, and what they're doing is they're poisoning themselves, and instead of offsetting or reversing aging, they're actually accelerating aging. It's like, you know, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're borrowing from tomorrow.
Beautiful way
today.
to put it. That's exactly what's happening, and you have to realize. Let's take, for example, something like bone broth. When I first came out with bone broth and the bone broth diet, of course, I'm trying to book myself on a lot of the stations, a lot of the national stations. And here's what's interesting. They said, we need to see all of the research. So we really have to think about this. Those things that we can commercialize and scale massively are the things that are most likely to get the press, because really it's how our brain works, right? So we're seeing Maybelline, Maybelline, Maybelline everywhere we go. But what if there was a product like bone broth that you may not be able to scale in the same way? Will there be that same research? Will there be? There will never be. This is why shows like this are essential. That's why tuning in to this show is absolutely detrimental to your health to not do so, but you must, because nobody's looking out for us. Because unless you can follow...
We're not sponsored by Maybelline.
Yeah, exactly. So you go on these news stations and you talk about things that are counterproductive to their commercials, you're not going to get anywhere. So you have to be your own advocate. You have to understand. But really understanding the basic underlying premise of how the body works, you will naturally start to move to things that serve you. It's understanding those couple of common underpinnings that keep you healthy. That's why I love bone broth, because it accomplishes so many things across the board.
So we've actually, this show has now opened up to being live on Facebook.
Great.
So if you're seeing this right now on Facebook, go ahead and put in questions for Dr. Kellyann Petrucci or myself here, and then Sean will bring them in so that we can answer them here as we go. And if you're catching this after the fact, go to the Urban Monk fan page, because then you could be here a week before they're released and be here live with us. So Sean's gonna, I know we have a few questions about bone broth already that have come in. Do you want to just, let's go back and forth. Why not? Yeah.
Cool. So the first one is from our friend Tammy. She's asking about the benefits of maybe using goat, lamb, or other bones as opposed to chicken or beef. Or is it more about the quality and how it's raised, or rather than the animal that you choose?
Great question. So Tammy, here's the answer to that. When you think about the amount of nutrition that's in the bone broth, think about the actual bone. The thicker bones, the heavier bones, they actually have more of what you want in there. That collagen, that's the glue that holds the body together. That collagen becomes cooked collagen, which becomes gelatin. And these are all of the things that we want to accomplish, those three things I talked about, the becoming slimmer and younger. So when you think about the animal that you're choosing, think about which bones are the thickest. They are the ones that may have things like marrow in them. They are the things that may have more of the cartilage that leads to more of the collagen, that leads to more of the gelatin. And in terms of the quality, well, we all know that you can't misstep, or you can't hide from the fact that the quality of the animal will definitely transfer to you. That is a fact. The better quality that you eat, the better quality your cells will become. That raw material I talked about, that time where you have to build everything, we're always changing. So if you give your body the right raw material during the time of that cellular change, that's how you benefit. So just think about it like that. The quality is always the most important thing. Getting the best quality, think about the thicker bones.
I used to, back last year at some point, Abel James and Allison, who's now his wife, I used to spend some time, they spent a lot of time at my house, and I remember one day I came in and like the windows had all remained closed. We went on a hike and they put on bone broth, and the whole house just smelt like animal, right?
Was that your first experience?
It was my first like bone broth take over your house experience, right? And that's when I was like, yo, does Whole Foods sell this? Like,
yeah, please.
How do you do this? Yeah. So how do you do bone broth in a way, like, I mean, you're busy as hell. You're traveling all over the place. Yeah.
So there's a couple things that I say. For people that are just starting out with bone broth, I always recommend the chicken first, because that actually has a much milder scent and it's a milder taste. So people actually prefer that. But there's also ways that you can get a kind of a, I guess you would call it more of a dehydrated version of this that you can travel with. Or packets, I actually sell them. You rip them open, you put them in a cup, you mix it up, you drink it. There are ways that you can get bone broth on the go. And also there are plenty of places now that actually sell bone broth. That's super good. I couldn't say this a year ago, but now they're popping up all over the place because we know it works, and we know that this is no longer just a trend, that this is here to stay. It's like the gluten-free movement. Gluten-free is no longer just a passing trend. We know it's here. It's real. It's here to stay, and bone broth is really achieving the same. So there's all kind of ways you can buy it if you don't want to make it, and I'm comfortable with recommending that.
So let's back up a little bit. What the hell is this? Like, why is it so good for us? I think a lot of people keep hearing about bone broth, but they haven't had just a really good explanation of why it does what it does.
So there's something that the body does. It's called nutrient confusion. So if you think about somebody who eats all of the time and they're overweight, but yet they're malnourished, so that causes a pause while they're eating, right? Here's what happens when you give your body all the nutrition it needs. You become extremely, extremely nutrient sufficient. And when that happens, you don't crave the same type of foods. Your body starts working in the zone. It starts working in a very different way. You know, it's like being in a relationship. You're in a relationship that's completely fulfilling. You're not looking around, right? You're happy with where you are. Your cells act like that. If your cells are getting what it needs, it's not constantly craving and on the prowl and looking for things. Because the bone broth, and the reason why I spend all of my time talking about just bone broth is because it really does provide all of that, all of those nutrients. And you think about it, so I was exposed to all these treatment protocols, modalities, all these really unique and interesting things throughout Europe and throughout my years of practice. Why in the world am I just talking about bone broth? Because it's just that good. It's simple, people love it, it warms you down to your toes, it makes you feel good, and it's got a lot of what we need to have our body operate in the most efficient way. So for one thing, amino acids, the building block. So it's very good at building hair, skin, nails, really good. It's got minerals in there. We know minerals, they operate the channels and gates of the body. They keep things moving and going in your body. I love the fact that you can get marrow. So marrow is really interesting. Marrow builds the blood. It makes the blood super strong. That's such a powerful healing food. It's incredible. And also we talk a lot about collagen. So the bone broth actually helps your body mainline its own collagen, so it makes more collagen. And this is super important. This is super important. That's what keeps us held together, so to speak. So a lot of people, as they get older, and it really happens very, very early, in your 30s even, your skin doesn't look as good. The collagen keeps your skin cells and your hair cells nice and plumped. It's one of the best things that you can do. And if you think about, if you got a sunburn and your skin was irritated and it needed healing, you would put some aloe vera on your skin to heal it, to soothe it, to make it feel better. Well, think about collagen, the cooked collagen, the gelatin. Think about it like exactly like aloe vera on your intestines. So if you think about, we have the 25 feet of intestines coiled up right here. We have all of those microbes in there, right? We've got all of those microbes in there. And when they get into disorder, you become full of disorder. So it's very important. That environment in there is a treasured environment. And so bone broth is one of the best ways that you can go in there, just like that aloe vera that goes in there and seals and heals the gut. And healing the gut is, again, it's foundational. It's one of those primary things to have beautiful skin, to look slimmer, to feel younger, to give you that energy.
So if someone's taking, say, 21 days to heal their gut, are they drinking bone broth a couple times a day, one time a day? Like, how often do you take this stuff?
So there's two ways that you can look at this. If you're listening to me and you're saying, oh gosh, I love this, I don't care about your diet program at all, I just want to get this bone broth, then my prescription for that person would be 2 cups a day. So we're testing this out as much as we can, how much bone broth is the best for you. So far what we're finding is 2 cups a day. Now if you were on the program, the bone broth diet program, what we do is we have you on fat-burning foods, healthy foods, for 5 days a week, and 2 non-consecutive days a week. We have you sipping on bone broth during the day, and we call it mini fasting. You get all of the benefits of intermittent fasting without the discomfort. Because I've had so many patients over the years saying, oh my gosh, I want to kick everything and everyone. This is just not working for me. I'm uncomfortable. So this takes all the discomfort out and you get all the benefits.
So you just drink bone broth all day?
2 days, 2 non-consecutive days. And if you need a light meal, you can have one at 7 o'clock. We say around 7, a protein, a fat, and a carb. And there's no difference in the results. So about 60% of the people that I see, they don't need any meal at all. They're perfectly fine just sipping on the broth. But there are some that just feel a lot better if they have one small meal and it doesn't change the results. So that's how we use the bone broth, either a couple times a day or in this program.
So it delivers the nutrients and it heals the gut and it gives you basically all the amino acids you need to kind of get yourself back to square one.
It's upbuilding. It's very upbuilding. And those are the things that are most beneficial to the body, things that upbuild us, like the collagen, the amino acids, all the minerals, the protein, the marrow, all of these things. They really lift the body up. They get it going. They give it that raw material. They make your body so filled with nutrition and nutrients that it confuses your body in the most positive way. Because again, it makes it feel such nutrient sufficiency.
I know someone out there is listening to this and thinking this. What about vegetarians? I mean, is there something?
Here's the deal. Whenever you incorporate soups and broths into your diet, you are going to benefit. I promise you that. Penn State even did a study that showed that when you incorporate these, you're healthier and you're about 7 to 10 pounds less a year. So if you want just vegetable broths, of course it's going to make a big difference. It's going to help you a lot, but just in a different way than bone broth. And I actually have some great broth recipes on my website, so I am a fan. If you are a vegetarian, please still get those broths. There's so much it can do for your mineral levels, and it really does improve you, just in a different way.
Got it. Okay. More questions from the audience?
Yeah, a few. So let's see. Is there a benefit of eating gelatin by itself?
I love gelatin. I'm a huge fan of gelatin. It's different than the bone broth. You're not going to get the full scope. You're not going to get the full level of nutrients, of course, but I'm a huge fan of gelatin. Yes, 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 and yes. You're going to see a big difference in hair, skin, nails. Makes a big difference. I love it.
In what form do you take it?
There's dried. There's all kind of, there's Great Lakes. You know, I sell gelatin. There's all kind of ways that you can get gelatin. And
just eat gelatin all the time.
Yeah, I mean, you will see like explosive changes. I love gelatin, especially for your skin. It makes a big difference.
Someone's now thinking Jell-O, right?
So here's the problem with Jell-O. So many of the Jell-O products that we have out, it's what I call, I love what I call magic eraser foods. Like if you're going to eat this, then have a little of this. So if you're going to have some, say, potato vodka, for instance, say you're going to have a little bit of that. Well, I love it with Kavita because one erases the other, right? So you're healing the gut at the same time. There's all kind of ways. But what I love about gelatin is it really does give you that core foundation, again, that we talked about. But the Jell-Os, a lot of the Jell-O we have, they have a lot of artificial colors in them. And so that counteracts it. So instead of being a magic eraser and actually helping, you know, one good, one bad, or maybe one stronger than the this, it just totally debacles the whole plan.
How about for kids? Is gelatin like a really awesome play for kids, and without the color and the sugar? Or
yes, it's beautiful, and kids will love it. You can make all kind of little cubes and all kind of gummies, and they're all on my website, and they're fantastic. And kids love them, and it's very beneficial.
Great.
For tendons and joints and all of that. I mean, that's another thing that we really should talk about, because one of the main complaints that a lot of practitioners see in their office is joint pain, right? It's one of the #1 things. Chondroitin and glucosamine in the natural form in bone broth really goes in and soothes and heals the joints, which is why there's so many athletes that use bone broth for recovery, because it really does a beautiful job at that. We have many, many people that's one of the #1 things that they say is, my gosh, I don't have joint pain anymore. Of course, you're reducing the inflammation. The glycine in the bone broth helps to reduce inflammation, so that's one of the reasons why, and also the chondroitin and the glucosamine. It makes a big difference.
And they're loaded with glycine, chondroitin, and glucosamine. Yep.
That's why I love, love, love it. You know, it does so many. Can you see why I get excited about this? Because it just does so many different things. And you know, these are not claims. These are, not only have I tested it out, but I've seen it across the board. And again, When I see things that work on men, women, younger people, older people, people with conditions, people that are looking for it for slimmer, for anti-aging purposes, when I see it working for such a spectrum of things, it gets my attention.
Yeah. Well, when did you get turned on to bone broth?
I was 40. And I have to tell you, as much as I knew, I hit a wall. I did. I could see it coming. Even as a trained clinician, even though I was so successful in practice using so many of these techniques, things weren't going like I planned. I started noticing differences in my skin, in my hair, and I thought, okay, something's not right. And so when I would ask a lot of colleagues, what do you think's happening here? You know, I'm not feeling like I once did, and the only answer that I ever got was that you're 40 now. You have children.
Suck it up.
Suck it up. This goes along with the territory. And but see, here's where that brain, that studying primal law and studying primal nutrition for so many years, that's where that kicked in. I thought, well, you know what? That doesn't make sense, because if I'm falling apart at 40, it means everybody has to. It's how our genetics work. And not everybody does. So what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm not seeing? And as much as I thought I was doing my body good in so many different ways, I still wasn't getting the nutrition that I needed, and that collagen, that gelatin, I think really pushed me. It pushed me past that point. And I started noticing differences right away.
How long? A week?
Probably about 3 months.
3 months.
And that, to me, after how I was feeling, fatigue and everything, and having my skin was changing, 3 months, to get the results that I had in about 3 months, I started feeling better right away. After, 2 weeks, I started feeling better. As some of our
daily use of bone broth and gelatin?
Yeah, so no, just bone broth.
Just bone broth.
I just used bone broth. And I started noticing a difference. By the time I was, I would say 42, I was like a new person. By the time I was 45, I was rocking. By the time I was 50, oh, did I say that?
On the air.
So by the time I started getting even older, I was really happy that I had this in my arsenal. I was so grateful and so thankful, because I know what it can do for you. And it was so funny, because when I first came up with the concept, they said, bone broth diet, bone broth, that's never going to sell. There's nothing more unsexy about that. That is so unsexy. And I said, well, just wait till you see what it can do for you. Then tell me it's unsexy.
So you just kept passing around bone broth to all your TV people?
Yes. I did that. Yes. People would be surprised at how many people they see on the screen and know that they are drinking bone broth. It is the secret weapon of a lot of people that they see on the TV and on the screens all the time.
Now, just for my audience here, she does a lot of TV, more than any of the rest of us care to do, actually. She's always traveling, always on some show, and she's just got the stamina of someone like 10 people.
I do.
So,
I truly do.
Yeah, you really do.
I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed. And when I say that, I didn't invent bone broth. I don't want to take credit for that. I did not. I did not invent it. All I did was I found something that should be back on our table. I don't know how it got so far off. I mean, hunter-gatherers would use this. I mean, you know that. What they would do is they would warm stones on the fire, they'd put them in the intestines of animals, and they would make a broth. I mean, it's across all different kind of cultures. It's been around forever. If you think about the cauldron, always on the fire. This is a historical food. This really goes way back, and it's so important, it's so lovely, and it does such magical things for the body that I just felt so compelled when I saw what it did. And now my passion is, and where I'm moving to, if I can just speak to this for a minute, there's children dying all of the time because they don't have the right nutrition, and that's just not okay. It's just not okay. So what my plight is now, I want to make this a global thing. I want to get this broth to all these children. I want to save lives. That's how powerful I think it is. I think this broth is so powerful, I think it can save lives.
I mean, are we going to run out of animals? Like, how does that scale in a way that can actually help all these?
I'm not going to say that it's not something I haven't thought about, and I've talked to farmers and I've talked to environmental people about this. I am praying that does not happen, but there has been many times where there has been a shortage of bones. So how it's going to play out, I don't know, Pedram. I don't know enough about farming and agriculture to really know how this is going to play out, but I'm going to find out. And as I go on and I progress in this and I see the movement, I mean, I have to tell you, there really is a revolution with this. Make no mistake about it. It really is. The stake is in the ground. So now I'm curious, that's my next level of discovery, is how is this going to play out environmentally? What's going to happen? What's going to happen to animals? How is this going to play out in 10, 20, 30 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, we have so many global scale problems.
We
and
sure
people
do.
individually are falling apart, and then like nations are falling apart
Yes.
because of malnutrition and obesity and all of it. And then you had your hand up, you have yeah.
I actually
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
I was actually wondering if you can talk about like the quality and getting quality bones for shopping. You were talking about like all around the world. So how can...
Yeah, so bones have never been more available in more places. So even though sometimes there's a problem with sourcing, the amount of places that carry bones, there's a lot more now. So even in your grocery store, they actually, it sounds crazy, they actually want to give bones to, they want to have bones for dogs. So a lot of times, you'll find them in regular grocery stores, you'll find them with butchers are the best ways. So what I recommend that everyone does, make friends with your butcher. This is a smart and important relationship. You'll learn a ton, they'll get to know you, what it is that you like, what it is you want to feed your family. You'll get really high quality. There's farmers markets, there's CSAs, there's all kind of ways. Even online, I love US Wellness Meats, they do a great job with sourcing bones. I know Vital Choice has some options, they even carry the fish broth. So there's all, and I love fish broth, by the way, for anyone who is pregnant, post-pregnancy. This is something very popular in the Asian community, which is how I learned about the power of this. My sister-in-law is Asian, and she brought me, as soon as I had my children, she would bring over this fish broth. It's really good at healing the body post-pregnancy.
And you can get fish broth commercially now?
Yes, I know Vital Choice sells it now.
Great,
Yep.
great.
Yeah, and I trust them.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no, Randy's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, good guy. And so we can basically sit here and sip it for like, a week and glow in the dark and then go climb a mountain or something.
I'll glow.
She's already glowing in the dark,
I'm
right?
already glowing.
I actually came from the dentist, my wife, and I had a shot, so I was like, my lip was drooping before I started the show.
I'm going to make him sip on a straw.
Yeah. Be able to talk. My tea is on my keyboard right here. So you mentioned a few other things that are important. We talk about kind of the telomere caps. We talk about aging and oxidative stress.
Yes.
In this kind of gestalt of all of the things that you need to look at to offset aging, what else do we need to do? I mean, you'd mentioned vegetables, you'd mentioned, just kind
healthy fats. I'm sure you speak about that a lot on the show, and it's really important. Lauric acid is really a great wrinkle blaster. So that's found in coconut oil, and I call coconut oil the natural wrinkle blaster. It works really tremendously well, and it should be a part of your bone broth diet, whatever that is to you. I actually even put coconut oil in my broth all of the time. And so what I have in the morning, and I'd love to tell everyone this.
Please do.
This gets me rocket fire energy. So I will tell you, I actually don't make the broth anymore. I actually use my own broth. I travel a lot, I do a lot, I trust it, but it's super, super simple. If somebody out there says, you know what, I can't afford it or I don't want to do it, I feel better making it myself, make it in a slow cooker. Throw some bones in there, put some water over it, celery, onions, carrots, throw a little lemongrass, you're done. Plug it in. I mean, it's super, super simple.
How long, 24, 48?
About 24, about 24 hours. So plug it in before you go to sleep. You wake up, you're golden, or plug it in the afternoon. Super, super simple. But what I love is bone broth with eggs in them, like an egg drop soup. So you make bone broth, so you heat it up on the stove, and you put the eggs in there, and they actually cook in the broth. And then I pour it in a bowl, and I put a little kimchi in there, and I mix it up. So I've got fermented foods, which I'm a huge fan of. I know you even give that to your children, which is amazing. So I've got the fermented food, I've got all the biotin and the choline and the good protein that I'm getting from the eggs, and I've got all the luscious deliciousness of the broth. And I have that, and that is like, boom! Go ahead, hit me with it.
Yeah.
You have just, I mean, it's a great way to start the day, because again, what am I doing? I'm doing those three things that I talked about earlier. I'm reducing inflammation, I'm healing my gut, and these are all foods that help my body become a natural fat burner. It always circles back to that. Getting the toxins out of the cells, right? And flooding the body with nutrition. It's like this. That's how your cells work. Get this out, put that in.
Are there any carbs in this right now? You got an egg drop, you got the bone broth. Like how many?
Well, there's
grams
the
of
cabbage
carbs?
and there's a cabbage and things that are in. You know, you can even add carbs if there's a carb that you want to add, or there's other things that you want to add. That's just kind of my template.
So just chuck it in the soup, basically. Yeah.
I'm telling you, like I tell people, don't get cognitive about this. Please don't. This is supposed to be easy. This is supposed to bring joy to your life. And I say, you know, if it's not bringing joy, reevaluate how you're looking at this, how you're approaching this. Let this bring joy to your life. It's not, and I say that with a soft heart, because I know as a working mom, I know with my schedule, when people tell me some things, I feel like sometimes like there's a piano being added to my back with every minute they're talking. And I don't want anyone to feel that way. I want them to know it's okay. This is easy, I promise you. And there's something interesting about time allocation, and that is when your cells become, the cellular matrix becomes super healthy, you end up finding more time in the day. It's a very interesting concept that I've seen playing out in my practice over and over again. Time allocation. You will get more time when your cells have more energy.
What do you think that is? What do you think? What is happening physiologically?
You become happier. The bottom line is this. At the end of the day, when I look at all the testimonials and I'm reading through things and I'm thinking about all this, and I talk a lot about joy, you know, how important that is, because I know that everything's about a vibration. Everything's so what I've learned to do, and I learned this through my Swiss training, is the minute I sit down with somebody, okay, I go into my assessment mode, because that's what I've done as a doctor for so many years. So what am I doing? How loud are they talking? How soft are they talking? Am I leaning in? Am I leaning away? All of these things. It's an energy. It's a vibration. This is not woo-woo. Please tell them this is not woo-woo.
It's not woo-woo. It is woo-woo, but it's right.
It's
right.
Darn it. So, you know, there's a megahertz behind everything. It's an actual trackable megahertz. This is not woo-woo. And so it's really important to have the vibration when you start your day, and to have the right mindset. These are all just as important as anything else, because it keeps your cells radiating where you want them to be. I would love to sit here and tell you it's all about food, but it's not. It's not all about food. Food's really important, and I've dedicated my life to it, but there are other things. And I'm a scientist first. I want everyone to know that. I am a researcher. I know how to read good science. I know how to understand it. I know how to disseminate it. I know how to make other people understand it. I base my work on science. But there is this other element to it that I only know from sitting beside people who were dying and watching their progress throughout the last few weeks of their life, hearing what they had to say, knowing where they are, that changed my life. I'm never going to be the same after that. Never. It changes you. And you start to pay attention to all of these things.
So this vitality, if we could call it that, that starts to kind of reemerge inside of their bodies, inside their cells. You could see that they have a little bit more energy, like cash flow available to their minds.
It's this. So picture this. This, as opposed to, it's called pleomorphism, the way your cells change, the way your cellular matrix, are they sticky? Are they stuck? Or are they doing this? Okay, you want them to do this. You don't want them to be sludgy. That sludge means toxic, and I'm tired. When you hear someone say, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, I know what's happening. I can see it, I can feel it, I know what's going on in their body. It's not this, it's this. They're stuck. They're stuck inside. And so then I think to myself, okay, let's think about that internal milieu. Let's think about the fluids in the cells and all the fluids surrounding the cells. That needs to be cleaned up.
What is the best way to clean it up? Are we talking coffee enemas? Are we talking saunas?
I love infrared saunas. Absolutely, I'm a huge fan. The best way is, we all know this, again, it sounds so simple. A lot of vegetables. Vegetables make a huge difference in cleaning out that sludge, but really understanding just basically how to build a plate. So I know a lot of people do a lot of different cleansing things, a lot of different, and that's wonderful. But I say, how about this? Instead of doing all of the cleanses, and I'm a firm believer, you will see me dumping greens. What I do is I juice a lot, and I dunk the greens into my broth. I do that all the time.
The fiber after you've juiced, or you'll juice it straight into your broth?
Straight in.
Got it.
Straight in. So we know that fiber is super, super important. But what I say is, you know what? Instead of all the cleanses, and I'm not chagrining any of them. They all have value. I understand the liver and the gallbladder when they have sludge. I understand the phases of the liver. I understand all of that. I really do. And I know that the value of that deep cleansing. But what if you just took 30 days and didn't eat anything without a barcode? That's all. Let's do that cleanse. Try that. Because I'm getting a visual. I get a visual and I start thinking about the matrix of the body and how everything's working and interlocking. I start instantly thinking about that, and I know what needs to push things through. And again, get this visual. So if your intestines are that 25 feet, 24 feet of that tube, you need foods to cleanse you, not clog you. Think about that. Think if you had those long intestines, you had there's all those little microbes in there and all those little things. What can you do to enhance them? This is where my brain goes. What can you do to enhance those so your microbes? Because remember, we may have 60 trillion cells, but we have 100 trillion of these microbes. But really what we are bags of bugs. That's what we are. And I remember my Swiss doctor standing up, bouncing. I'll never forget the imagery of him saying, we're bags of bugs. We're really just bags of bugs. That's what we are. So we need to keep these healthy. So again, it goes along with, let's get things moving through smoothly. Things that cleanse us and don't clog us. We can do this with all respect with people who do cleanses and all of that. And does it work? Yes, but there may be a simpler way. There may be. And it's just thinking about foods that cleanse you, that nourish you, and that move things along.
Leafy green vegetables, things with more fiber.
So think about vegetables. Like there's fibrous vegetables. Okay, that's the green stuff. That's going to give us all the fiber. And then there's a second track, and think about it like that. These are what I call energy vegetables. So these are things like potatoes, regular potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, things like pumpkin, things like carrots, these are more energy vegetables. So there's your fibrous vegetables, there's your energy vegetable, and this is where personal play comes in. So they say, how much should I have of each? It depends. Are you trying to lose weight? What is your blood sugar like? What is that's where the personal play comes in, and you don't know that until you mess around with it. So you build a plate with the greens, ideally. So in a perfect world, if you were going to build a plate, you would want 2 types of fibrous vegetables. If you need it or you've just worked out, then you want something like an energy vegetable, like a sweet potato, say for instance. You want a piece of protein, a small piece of protein. You only need a little. That's where the big misnomer is with paleo and all these different conversations that we have around building a plate. You don't need a lot of protein, but you need it. My experience in doing labs pre and post, people start the program and they end the program, and I always, again, I love empirical data. I love it. It drives me because I know my patients like to see that result.
Sure.
The best results that we see are when people actually have really good protein with their meals, and then you want a healthy fat. So if you can think about it, vegetables, the 2 branches, the energy or the fibrous vegetables, piece of protein and healthy fat, and you are golden. You will get, your body will become so efficient, it'll blow your mind, your head will spin off. You add some snacks in with bone broth, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
So much less protein. So when you go out, your typical portion size anywhere USA is just this big hunk of meat, whatever it is. And
sometimes I feel like it, sometimes I want it, sometimes I eat the whole thing. Okay?
Okay, so go with how you feel.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that all of the time because you can congest. You can, there is a point of no return with proteins. This is how I feel. This is a whole other show. This is a whole other conversation. Protein, how much do you really need? And again, there is personal play involved in that, how much protein you should have. But for most healthy people, a little bit of protein and more a lot of vegetables. But you do need that protein. I've seen how the brain functions, and it functions much better with the protein.
I was a vegetarian for 6 months, and I started falling apart because I was just like, something's wrong, and I wasn't eating any protein. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't know enough then. You could do vegetarian diets with good combining and everything, but I mean, it's just so hard to get the protein in.
We've seen it over and over and over again in practice. I look at the labs and I know, here's the thing, there's a lot of people who it's a principle, right? It's more of a spiritual issue, and I don't touch that.
Yep.
I can't touch that. I respect that.
That's your stance, yeah.
That's your stance. But for people who are a vegetarian for health reasons, come talk to me. Talk to me, write to me, tell me why. Tell me what health benefits you think you're getting from being vegetarian, and I will show you that you would benefit from looking at another angle.
Even if it's just a little bit to supplement. Yep.
I mean, gosh, you've got to have eggs, you've got to have you've got to have something. You've got to have something. We need that. So let's talk a moment again about collagen. We need that. You've got to find ways to get this. It literally holds your body together. And we talked about bone broth and the upbuilding. What you don't want is to live life without any of those upbuilding properties. And that's what happens with vegetarianism.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
When they start to break down, they start to borrow and break down their own muscle. And
you start to literally beg and borrow inside your body. There's not enough of this and this. I'm supposed to get this from this part of the body. It's not there. So let me go over here and try to get it from here. Oh, it's not happening here either. Let me try to borrow it from here. In your body's like an orchestra. We talk about in internal medicine and so forth, we talk about, this specialist, that specialist. Are you a specialist or a narrowist? Because really how you have to think about the body is it's truly a beautiful orchestra with an innate system behind it. So you have to just understand, you've got to fulfill the entire body, keep that orchestra working beautifully and fulfill all structures and functions of the body to have it working. And this is not hard. This is just getting these foods that have the more nutrition in it that we spoke about. Again, I have to say it. That's why I love bone broth. Got to pitch that in there.
You need a tattoo.
Yes.
Just at least
Dr. Bone Broth.
Dr. Dr. B.
Yes.
I know we're running out of time, so let's get to some more audience questions because we could do this forever.
All right, cool. So let's see. You talked about fish bones, but what other kinds of bones can be used, like beef, pork, fowl, that kind of stuff?
Anything goes. Don't overthink this. You want non-oily fish for anything for fish broth, non-oily fish. So I love white fishes and things like that. They tend to make the best and most tasty fish broths. For chicken, you can use the chicken carcass. It's super easy, works really well, it's simple. And for beef, you know what? I love things like short ribs. You want to think about anything with cartilage. Just think cartilage. And I love oxtail. Oxtail gives it a lot of flavor. Anything that you can think of that flavors the broth, you can do. Just think cartilage. So when you go to your butcher, the conversation would be like this. Mr. Butcher, I'm making bone broth. So can you tell me what bones are best to use in this broth? He will direct you, he will guide you. Believe me, they know. Oh, you're gonna cook some soup up with broth? They look at it like grandmom's soup because that's what it is, right? It's like grandmom's good old back to nature soup, and a lot of these butchers know exactly what you're going. So again, this is where that conversation comes in, where having a relationship with your butcher, they will guide you, they will show you. It's super, super easy.
Love it. More?
And then what are your thoughts on using dehydrated vegetables in your bone broth?
It's fine, absolutely fine, as long as there cannot be any MSG in them. So watch out for those hidden terms of MSG. Google it, it's super easy. What are the hidden names behind MSG? Google that. If none of those are in the product, I'm all for it.
But they sneak a bit in, like you gotta be real careful.
Yeah, no. If you see a whole lot of ingredients in there, don't even bother the Google search, because I can tell you right now, you've got garbage in there. But there are products out there. I know Trader Joe's has them now. There are dehydrated vegetable products that I'm fine with. But just do your work, research that, because especially if it's something that you're gonna have every day. I always say it's what you do every day that gets you. So if you are doing something every day, that's where you really have to be, a detective. Take your forensic scope out.
It's what you do every day that gets you. It's so simple, so easy.
And it's so true. Am I right?
Yeah. He's got one more question.
Yeah.
One more. I got this a few times because people are loving what you're saying. Where can they go to buy your broth, get your book, and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I love this question.
Yeah.
It's drkellyann.com, DrKellyann, drkellyann.com. You'll find a lot of resources on there, and you'll see my dried and my liquid broth. And I am a stickler about quality.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're awesome.
Thank you. You are too.
Awesome. It's great to have you here.
I have sparks coming off me. Can you see?
You do.
They're bone broth sparks, by the way.
She walked in, I just had to step back, right? No, you look great. Like every time I
you.
see you, it's just like
you.
You're radiating this energy. You got it going on. So, you know, whatever you're doing it right.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah. And so I'm
Bring
excited.
joy in food. I'm telling you, we got to. It doesn't have to be hard. Just make it joyful.
I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
this
you.
has been great.
It's a
I
pleasure.
invite you to come down anytime. This
Yes,
is fun.
love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for those of you who are new to the show, theurbanmonk.com, go ahead and subscribe. That way you will know when new shows are coming. You'll know when we're going to go live. So you could jump in and ask questions of my guests as you go. So theurbanmonk.com, wherever you're seeing this, give me your feedback in the thread, whether this is in Facebook right now or later on you'll get it in YouTube and all the other universes this ends up. I want to know what you think. I'll see you next time.